And welcome to the final chat of our Features of Earlham series. Thank you if you've joined us the previous two nights. As you can see, we have a full boat of panelists. And this is, before we introduce our panelists, this is a friendly reminder that we will have our academic division's web chats coming up in a few weeks. So be sure to be on the lookout for emails promoting those in your inboxes. And just as Doug had said, this is just a reminder, if you want to submit a question at any time, you can feel free to do so in the chat box. So again, I'm going to turn it over to our panelists here in just a second, but we're definitely looking forward to a lively chat. This is again about student life at Earlham College, which I know is kind of an umbrella term. A lot of things are kind of covered under that. But again, if you have any questions, feel free to submit. So I tell you what, let's introduce our panelists. If you'd like to tell us who you are, and maybe if you're a student, well, what year you are, and if you're not, what is exactly that you do here at the college.
Okay. Hi guys. Thank you for tuning in. We are happy to host this conversation with you, and we hope it can be informative. My name is Kwabna Safupanin, but I commonly go by Kobe. I'm an international student. I'm a junior religion major. I come from Ghana, and I've served on numerous student organizations and clubs here at Earlham, so I'll be happy to share my experiences with you and hopefully see you on campus next semester.
My name's Kelsey. I am a freshman here at Earlham. I am right now thinking of majoring in environmental science, and yeah.
That's great. Thanks, guys. I'm Shane Peters. I'm Associate Dean in Student Life here at Earlham. What that means is that I serve this area, as Alex mentioned, that really encompasses everything outside of the classroom. I work with the group that supervises the residence life staff. I also work with our health and wellness personnel. We have Director of a Wellness Center. We have Director of Health Services and Counseling Services that all fall under our area. We also have the Office of Religious Life. And the folks that supervise students' clubs, organizations, activities, all falls in that category of things that are part of campus life here outside of the classroom experience. So glad to be able to join you tonight for the chat.
I'm Pele Tracy. I'm a sophomore student from Shepherdstown, West Virginia, Peace and Global Studies and Photography major, and I'm also a two-year letterman on the varsity soccer team.
Well, that's excellent. Thank you guys again for joining us. So we're going to start off with kind of a kind of broad question, and Shane, perhaps I can direct this to you. So Earlham kind of has kind of in place what we call a first-year experience. I guess to maybe help frame our future questions that will be coming in, but also perhaps our entire conversation. So what exactly is the first-year experience from the college standpoint?
Yeah, sure. When we talk about first-year experience at Earlham, it's really very much a all-encompassing kind of thing. We have a designated living area, which is what everyone's first question is about, where does a first-year student come in and reside. We have specifically arranged for cohorts of first-year students to live together in one of a couple of different residence halls. And that's by design. We have an effort to not only provide the kind of resident assistant staff that you might have heard about other residential campuses having, where students serve in a role of being both resources and referral agents for the students that live around them. You will hear other campuses talk about RAs, which are resident advisors or resident assistants, and we have a very full staff of those in the first year area who are staff that are very excited about serving students that are making that transition to campus life for the first time. But we also, when we talk about the first year experience at Earlham, we've expanded that to include some upperclassmen who have volunteered to be mentors, to serve as peer mentors in a role that doesn't involve them having to have primary responsibilities for duty coverage in the building, for the kinds of things that might come up in terms of some sort of response to an emergent situation, or policy enforcement, but those upper class mentors are really there to be that upper class role model or example to those first year students that live around them. It's not a paid position, but these are upper class peers of these upper class students that are sitting here who have said, we are willing to live as a part of the first year area because we want to help make that a good transition and a better experience for them. So our first year students really have an opportunity not only to be engaged in Earlham Seminars, which are courses designed specifically for those first year students, that all are offered this year at a common time, so they're all getting up together and heading to the seminar, experience it as a common thing. We have a common read that will be sent to admitted students for this fall, in which they will be encouraged to read a book together before coming to Earlham, and then we have a discussion about that on week 1 to have that common engagement of something that everybody has brought to the new year, having put their minds around and being exciting to engage in conversation about. So when we talk about first year experience, there's lots of programmatic things that go into that expand beyond just new student orientation. We have a whole series of programs that are offered through the Residence Life staff, partnering with other campus offices to help introduce first years to the kinds of resources that will be valuable to them throughout their 4 years. But these students that are sitting beside me can probably tell you better about what the first year experience means to them, so I want to give them a chance to respond as well.
Yeah, would anybody like to chime in on, I guess if you're a first year student or whether your first year at Earlham was, within the last couple of years naturally, what was, your first year experience like? Would anybody like to weigh in?
Well, I guess I'll weigh in. I am a freshman anyways. But I definitely felt like the new student orientation and all of the different programs that they offered for us really helped us get involved in campus from day one. Just starting out here, we all met together in a big hall, the auditorium here, and I sat next to 2 people who became my friends from day one. So it's just a great atmosphere starting out, and it really helps introduce the campus life.
So I'm currently a peer mentor, and I do wish it was a paid position, would help a brother out. And so I'll speak from 2 perspectives. I'll speak from my experience as a peer mentor, and I'll go back 2-3 years and speak about my experience as a first year. And I think the beauty about having these designated spaces is that once all of you as first years are undergoing this shared experience, you're able to create those sorts of relationships that can help you adjust to Earlham College and help you adjust in a way that prepares you to succeed socially and academically. So that's a very important point to consider. And also, as a peer mentor, sometimes it's just nice getting to meet the first years, and trying to relay experiences that could help you have a better time and avoid some of the pitfalls and mistakes that us senior and upper class students have made. So, yeah.
And if I could just weigh in quickly, I don't mean to beat the point to death, but I think that probably my favorite part of that freshman experience was the Earlham Seminar, the ES1 and ES2. For me, coming to Earlham, I'd never written more than 3 pages for a paper, and both of the seminar professors that I had, while challenging me to do better academically and to make strides, also took an understanding of the situation that I was coming from academically, socially, etc., and really worked with me, and that was something really positive, and I ended up doing really well in both of those courses.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you very much. Now, just so we give our audience a little bit of context, can someone briefly describe kind of what an Earlham Seminar is?
Sure. Well, since I brought it up, so in Earlham Seminar, each freshman student, or first year student rather, will take 2 of them, one each of their first 2 semesters. And these courses are generally designed to focus on writing and critical analytical skills as well as reading, but they spread across the disciplines. So you might take an Earlham Seminar in biology or English or philosophy. There are courses in the art history department, just about every department that I can think of. And so while you'll gain, all students in the Earlham Seminars will gain a set of skills that spreads across the board, you'll learn them through the context of different mediums.
Yeah.
Thank you. So we've been getting a lot of really great questions through the chat box, and we thank you for that. A lot of them pertain to clubs, so let's kind of switch gears a little bit into the entertaining social life, you know, other ways to get involved on campus. So this is kind of a composite of several questions we received. So I tell you what, I'm just going to list it off, and if we need to backtrack, that's fine. So how many clubs are offered here at Earlham? Is it easy for a student to start one, and do they cost money to join or to start? We'll kind of expand it.
You all can speak to your experience with student clubs and organizations, but I can just kind of offer a preliminary thing to say that we have at any given semester anywhere from 40 to 50 active clubs. There have been at least that many that are maybe clubs that have been a part of campus life during a certain period of Earlham's history, and they ebb and flow, whether how active they are in any given set of couple of years that a group of students is here. And so we have some that have a long history of being long established, others that might pop up new in any given year, and they really are student driven. I mean, I think that's one of the things when you're trying to find out what makes Earlham unique. The fact that students know that they are encouraged in every way possible, really, around this campus to let their voice be heard, to know that they are invited to the table. We have students on every committee, and every decision-making body involves at least consulting broadly with students, if not a student being right there. And so when it comes to student clubs and organizations, I think these students will offer testimony that there is a real openness to when a group of students decide that they want to pursue some kind of new interest, and they don't see that club as either being active currently, or they think maybe this is a new thing that hasn't existed at Earlham before. There are opportunities to pursue those things. I can let you all speak to some of the things that kind of been most exciting for you about club or organization participation, which really goes beyond specific special interest clubs to student organizations that are a very active part of campus life.
I would just like to start off by saying I think the beauty of being parts of a club is that it adds another layer. It's an extra dimension on top of the academic experience that you gain in the classroom. For one, that's an arena of socialization. So what I mean by that is you have the opportunity to develop and initiate cross-cultural exchanges. You should always understand that the Earlham student body is composed of different individuals from different places, all with particular interests. And those interests find expression within whatever club those participants decide to participate in. And I should say, in terms of starting clubs, again, as Shane said, the faculty and the administration is very supportive of student interest. The beauty of Earlham is that they want you to exercise your agency and they want you to exercise your initiative. So if you feel that there's a space within the social landscape that is not being met, and you feel you have the skill set and you have the drive and the enthusiasm to initiate a particular sort of club to address that gap, you will receive all the requisite support that you need. So yeah.
We also received a question, you know, I guess about, you know, particular clubs. Is there a LGBTQ organization on campus?
There is, yes, yeah. Known as Spectrum. We do have a very active student club, and we've had a variety of you know, special interest clubs, as I said, that might come up from year to year. But I would say that the Spectrum organization is one that has been long-standing. Yeah.
And I guess just to kind of tie a nice bow, does it cost money to join a club?
To join?
To join a club on campus.
They're shaking their head. No, it seems like a foreign concept. Yeah.
As far as I know, no.
Right.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten a bill yet.
Right.
No, that's excellent. So we're going to kind of shift gears briefly kind of to housing. That also seems to be kind of a popular question we're receiving. So Max from Maryland is asked the question that probably a lot of incoming freshmen, first-year students in college are curious about. So when it comes to choosing your roommate, is it a completely random lottery, or how does that process work?
Well, just a quick answer to that is that we, for our new students coming in, ask you to complete a housing questionnaire that will be very informative for us in helping to try to pair you up with somebody new who might seem compatible, at least from what we can tell on paper. We know that that's not a perfect science, but like most schools, we're going to have an intake questionnaire that tells us a little bit more about you, that helps us to know how we might best set you up. Again, not with someone who is necessarily answered all the questions in the same way, but someone who we think will be complimentary and provide a good opening experience for you. We do have the opportunity for students who know others that are coming to Earlham as well to request a roommate. So if you're looking at Earlham and you're looking at that with another friend who would also be new to campus, we can have students request to live with others who are here, but as part of that first year intentional experience, we're going to try to have all of our first time to Earlham students living together. Now, transfer students coming in from another institution might have some other options open to them outside of the first year area. We have kind of a graduated living experience here at Earlham where we intentionally ask first year students to live together and to form that cohort, that community that has this common experience of starting their college journey together. But then once you get beyond the first year, and the students here next to me can offer what their experience has been, there really is a variety of housing options when you're looking at second, third, and fourth year. We have a variety of residence halls that are the traditional style hall where there might be a common bathroom for a whole wing or a whole floor to share, and that's by design. Those traditional halls are meant to require you to get to know your neighbors. When you're sharing a bathroom with that many people, you're going to get to know the people who live around you. And so most of our first year areas are in that type of a setting. But then in second, third, and fourth year, students can look to other designs. We have residence halls that have more of a suite style where there is a smaller cluster of rooms that share a common bathroom, or even some where there's a bathroom between two rooms. And so students can be a little bit more selective as your social circle deepens, but also tends to be more concentrated in a third and fourth year. You can look at different housing options that support that kind of environment. We have around the perimeter of campus about 20 houses that we use right now for student housing, and students can apply to live in those. We have about a quarter of those that are friendship houses that change from year to year, where you apply as a friendship group and you express what it is you as a group are going to contribute to campus life, and so you're excited to submit an application for that 1 year to live together in a house. We also have some long established themes that have been representative of about 2/3 to 3/4 of the houses, and those are themes that have a specific academic department support or have a particular special interest, or in some cases a faith or cultural tradition that support that theme. And you can see examples of all that on the website, but are there other comments about housing that you all would want to offer?
You live in a house, so
yeah,
maybe
I do.
you can take a stab
I guess
at
I can take a quick shot at
Yeah.
that. So I currently do live in a friendship house. I live in Middle East House, which is a group of people who are in some way academically as well as socially, but interested in the Middle East, be it politics, international relations, or just culturally, or through the Arabic language. And it's an incredibly close group of people. We eat a Sunday dinner together about once a week. Well, I guess Sunday is once a week.
And you haven't invited me yet. So
Yeah, well,
come on, Philip.
as Kobe's exclusion maybe goes to show, but they are a tight-knit group of people. And that's been a really wonderful and rewarding experience. So yeah, I guess that's sort of.
Well, I tell you what. Yeah, thank you very much. We're getting a lot of good questions. They're coming in quick. So I guess we'll switch to a fun one. Leslie asks, how much school spirit does Earlham have on a scale of 1 to 10?
Well, a 10.
There you go.
How about you? What do you guys think?
I served in student government, so I'd say we have school spirits 15 out of 10. They can't even be ranked, you know.
And Kelsey, yes, it's your first year student. Have you been indoctrinated with that Earlham spirit, or are you already at the 10 level?
I'm at 10 level. Yeah. I go to all the sport events. So.
Good. That's great. Well, thank you for the question, Leslie. We actually had another question regarding, obviously Earlham has a very high population of international students. We had a question regarding, how integrated are the international students and the domestic students? So any one of you can weigh in on that. That's a very good question. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd love to answer that question. And as you might tell, my style to answering questions is to give a bit of a preamble before going directly to the question. So again, I want to emphasize that that's a key feature of the Earlham experience, that multicultural aspects, the ability to learn from someone who holds like a different worldview, a different perspective from you. It really challenges you to examine like the assumptions you bring to Earlham and the values that you bring, to examine them, probe them, finger them, and then try and find ways to engage with diversity, to celebrate difference and to celebrate otherness. Now, in terms of the relationship between domestics and internationals, I would say that depends on the particular individual. I, for one, very good friends with Pele. But that's because both of us exercised initiative at the beginning of our relationship and at the beginning of our friendship to understand each other. I don't necessarily think that sort of personal dynamic is something that Earlham can really have an active part in playing. They do in the fact that they bring different students not only from across like national lines, but also economic and racial, and you bring them in one arena and one environment. But then from there, I think the onus lies on the student to facilitate the sort of friendship and relationship that they want to.
And I would add just very quickly to that I think another thing that I've really loved about Earlham is that I think that it's not just that the general campus community stems from a broad cultural, economic, national pool, but I think also the microcosms within the campus are also incredibly diverse in all those ways. So one personal anecdote I would relate is that my freshman year on the soccer team, with 24 members, we spoke 21 languages. And I think that it's hard to explain much better than that can the dimensions of diversity that exist at Earlham.
Exactly.
Well, thank you for weighing in. So we've had also a number of questions, kind of about what is there, I guess, to do on campus, but also what is there if you want to leave campus? What is there to do in Richmond? And I guess any one of us can weigh in on that here.
Sure.
So
I'll let you all speak to what you like to do for fun, thinking about campus life.
Well, I think that depends on the time of year. In the winter, it gets very cold, but there's definitely activities you can do around town. It's a smaller town, so it's not a big city life. But if you go out of town in the fall, there's different outdoor activities the town holds. There was like a hay rides and like Halloween fun during the fall, corn mazes, stuff like that. There's a movie theater in town, shopping around. I think there's just a lot of different activities for different types of people. I know people go on trail hikes and down to waterfalls and things, so yeah.
Right.
So, can I continue?
Oh, absolutely.
I was just, very quickly, I'd like to relate sort of one of each of my favorite two activities, one on the campus and one in Richmond. So my favorite on-campus activity is called Catmandu. It's an open mic event that happens now it's every Friday, but the day of the week changes depending on who's hosting it. Yeah. This year it's being hosted by a friendship house that's Music House, so aptly themed. Yeah. And that's been an absolute blast. Stand-up comedy, live music, just a nice way to end the academic week. My favorite thing in Richmond, though, I was actually fortunate to go to an ice festival that Richmond hosted about a month ago. And I don't know if any of you have ever seen people making ice sculptures live, but this was something else. These guys had like chainsaws and blowtorches, so that was really brilliant. The Richmond, I guess, City Hall brought in some of these guys from out of town, and that was a really fun experience. So those are my two favorites.
Well, thank you for weighing in. Now, to kind of piggyback on that question, so how does Richmond and Earlham College interact with each other, and what kind of relationship do the two have in general, from your experience?
All right, well, I can go again. I don't mean to monopolize, but so I think that one of the biggest ways that Earlham students do interact very directly with the Richmond community is through service, through the CIL, the Center for Integrated Learning. And for me personally, what that's meant, my freshman year, I volunteered at an organization called Diplomas, which works with the local high school, and they have a daycare there for students of teachers and actually students of students. And I worked in an infant room there, volunteering with babies. I love babies. I'm the oldest of 3. So yeah, but that was a really interesting way to get to know some people in the community, some folks at Richmond High School, some really wonderful community leaders. And I think that relationship was very mutually beneficial. I think I gained a lot from it personally, but I think they also were very, grateful, not to be full of myself, but grateful that I was able to lend some time to that cause. And I think that was a relationship that we established, and I certainly learned a lot about Richmond, and I sort of like to think that I presented Earlham well to them. So I think that service is one of the biggest areas through which that relationship is established.
Thank you. And actually, this one's kind of meant for you as well. You're being a soccer player.
Sure.
We just had a question from a prospective student who's a cross-country runner.
Okay.
Curious, how time-consuming is sports? Does it really kind of eat into your time to focus on your academics and to kind of again, another question that we received earlier, and the questions have been fantastic. Thank you so much. But what resources, if any, are there for student athletes?
Sure. So I, for one, I've always been a person who does better academically when my season's on. So soccer's a fall sport. My 2 highest GPAs have both been my 2 fall semesters. Not that the springs have fallen off, but I think that I can't speak for a cross-country athlete, nor can I really speak for people who aren't myself. But for me, I've had no problem at all balancing athletics and academics. I think that there are a lot of resources dedicated to helping student athletes. I know that the athletic administration that I've interacted with, Mike Burgum, our athletic director, is an incredible mentor, a really amazing guy, as well as the individual coaching staffs. And I have briefly met the head cross-country coach, Pat, and he's a wonderful guy, and I hear the same from cross-country runners. But so I think that in terms of structures helped. So if you are having some difficulty, to help you out, I think there are plenty, and that people will certainly get you whatever help that you might need. But I think that from my personal experience, it's not you won't be in over your head. It might mean that you're not joining 6 different clubs and volunteering 40 hours a week and also working a job. You do have to make some choices, but it's certainly not an all-encompassing thing that'll take over your life and ruin your grades.
Thank you. Simon asks how often there are concerts and musicals on campus, and how easy is it to kind of get engaged with the arts here on campus?
You want to take that, Kelsey?
Sure. I don't know exactly how often, but they're fairly often, and it's very easy to find out about them. They post them all over walls around campus, also in Saga, our dining area. A lot of students participate in these or attend them. I feel like everyone is very into these arts, and if it's not themselves, it's a friend. So it's definitely very easy to get involved in these activities and go to the events on campus.
And I must add, when I was a freshman here, and I know I'm off camera, and this is like the voice coming from who knows where, but being a child of the '90s, I really appreciate when Blues Traveler came to Earlham. That was fantastic. One of the best concerts I've ever seen in our athletics and wellness center. So let's kind of go a little bit more broad stroke here. We had a fantastic question about what does it mean, we'll say from both the college's standpoint, but also the student's standpoint. What does it mean to go to a Quaker school? And anybody can weigh in on that. I know it's kind of a weighty question, but one that I think is on a lot of people's minds.
I would say, for me at least, it means, and I mentioned this earlier, it means an examination of self, an examination of what you perceive to be the truth, an examination of how you decide to engage with that truth and engage with others concerning that truth. It means an examination of principle, and it also means a life of service and a life of integrity. That's how I'd respond to that particular question.
I also think the Earlham seminars that we were talking about earlier, that's another big point of them, is they help introduce you to the Quaker kind of dynamic of Earlham. It's just the atmosphere at Earlham is accepting and very much a community. And that's what I feel like a Quaker school represents, is just acceptance. And yeah.
And I think I should add, there's no force by the institution for you to adopt or even accept the Quaker principles. You have freedom to establish whatever religious identity that you want to. But because the institution is built upon a certain set of core principles and values, you'll find that in our meetings, in our procedures, those values infuse how we go about doing things. And I'll just give a brief example. The moments of silence before every meal, before the beginning of every meeting, or the decision process called consensus, where we attempt to let everyone who's sitting around the table have their voice be heard and allow their view to be articulated to the best degree that they can. For me, again, those are the virtues of being at a Quaker institution, the ability to listen empathetically and engage with the other.
Well said, Kobe.
Yes, thank you very much. So kind of, Kelsey had just mentioned the Earlham Seminars, which we'll kind of double back again to what the Earlham Seminar is. We had a question earlier about a student who goes to, who has consistently challenged themselves, consistently during their high school career. And, speaking particularly as students, is the Earlham Seminar, designed to be a challenge to first-year students, and maybe we'll talk just a little bit more about how that's challenging, and also, how it helps you, ultimately prepare for a very, very good liberal arts education.
Perspective on it, Sam?
I could go again. Forgive me if I'm boring you with my voice, but I'm just so excited about these questions. Thank you. You guys are great. Earlham Seminar. It's definitely very challenging. I remember my first Earlham Seminar. I think I had to read the Iliad, and I was like, what is this, But I think the beauty, again, of an Earlham Seminar, as Pele mentioned earlier on, is that it teaches you how to read critically. So you're not just reading what's presented on the text, but you're trying to go behind the text and understand the author's intentions. You're trying to engage with the spirit of the text. What is the overarching message? What sort of strategies and tools and literary devices does the author use in order to enunciate that sort of message? Those are the skills you learn in a seminar. So you learn how to read very critically. In addition, as you can tell from the panel, you learn how to speak very eloquently. You're pushed to advocate your points, but you're supposed to advocate your points based off the material that you've been presented. So you can't just come and make up whatever statements you want to make up without making reference to the text. There isn't so much space for you to do that in the Earlham Seminar because, they're trying to improve your reading abilities and your speaking abilities. But then again, most importantly, for me at least, is that an Earlham Seminar teaches you how to listen attentively. And what I mean by this is not just look at another person and nod and say, ooh, okay, I get you. But it's to try and understand what sort of assumptions, what sort of values, what sort of principles that the person is bringing into whatever comments that they're making in class, and trying to understand their lived reality and their subject location when they make a particular comment. And I think, again, that's the beauty of an Earlham Seminar. So definitely you'll be challenged. Definitely you'll get the requisite tools needed to survive and be successful for the rest of your Earlham career.
Thank you very much. And actually, we're gonna present a poll to our audience here. And the question is have you thought about what you want out of your college experience? So select one of the following, absolutely without question. I have a pretty good idea. I've kind of thought about it. Not really sure yet. So feel free to take your time and weigh in on that question. And we will kind of share the results here in just a moment. And I tell you what, you know, even though I don't know if the poll is obstructing anyone's the view of our panelists, but I guess we'll throw out a question here really quickly that anyone can weigh on. So are students allowed to have cars on campus? Does this mean that students are constantly leaving on the weekends?
Well, just real quickly, in terms of policy, students are allowed to have cars here. There's no restriction, as some campuses, based on limited parking space, will have to say that first-year students aren't allowed to bring a car. Sometimes that's philosophical because they want to avoid that leaving every weekend. But given the student body that Earlham draws, we do not contend with the same kind of dynamic of you will hear other campuses described as a suitcase campus where students are have that bag ready to go on Friday and they don't come back till Sunday. That is far removed from the Earlham experience, and they're all nodding their heads because we draw so many students from long distances, both across this country but from around the world, that although students can have the cars, a lot of our students don't have cars. And we do, our Department of Public Safety offers a shuttle service around town because of the need for students to occasionally get around in a more convenient way. So I would say that the cars are certainly welcome, but they do not create an environment that involves students being gone on weekends. We have a very active campus life Friday through Sunday.
So getting, thank you very much. So getting the results of our poll here, so it's about 65, just a little bit less, 64% of you said you have a pretty good idea about what you want out of your college life experience. That's probably a good idea to also. You know, your college is also, you know, it's obviously an academic fit, but it's also very much a social fit as well. So since we have a pretty good idea about what we want out of our college experience, we have just a few more short minutes here. So if you have any lingering questions that you'd like to ask, you know, absolutely feel free to. Excuse me, we have a question here actually about a student who has heard about advising Wednesdays. So I know this is a relatively new initiative here on campus, so if anyone would like to speak about advising Wednesdays, you know, feel free.
Sure. Well, I mean, if any of the students here on the panel have experience that they want to speak to of, the idea of an advising Wednesday is that once a month there's an opportunity for students to know that their faculty advisors are generally available during a time that is on every other week dedicated to faculty meetings from 1 to 2:30 on Wednesday afternoons, the current schedule. There aren't any classes offered during that time because that is often a good time for students to gather to know that their peers don't have class. And so twice a month the faculty are getting together at that time, but on particular advising Wednesdays, it's that one Wednesday a month that students are encouraged to know that that is time when they can engage with academic advisors. And many of our students who may have a major and a minor or two majors find themselves talking to multiple advisors. And so having that dedicated time when they know they can contact a faculty member is helpful. But just even before we came on the chat, these students here were talking about how their access to their, not just their advisors, but to teaching faculty in general is part of what drew them to Earlham, to a small campus like this where we're all on a first-name basis. And that accessibility is something that students come to expect from their faculty members. I don't know if you want to add any quick comment about that.
Yeah, I certainly would. I know we're getting close to time, so I'll keep it brief. But I think that the Advising Wednesdays, I think, is indicative of a larger trend at Earlham, which is this extreme accessibility and respect that's fostered between students and faculty. And I think that that extends beyond just your advisor or someone from your major, but to other professors that maybe you had one class with outside your major and formed a close relationship, and if you want advice or another look at a paper or help with an application, that's something that I found so pleasantly surprising, was that I could expect and enjoy attention not just from an advisor in my major or a professor in my major, but someone totally out of the ballpark who you know I met for one semester and then a year later could come back to and say, hey, you know, Kevin, could you take a look at this? And so that's something I think that certainly bears emphasizing, is how strong that relationship is that exists at Earlham.
Well, and I should mention too, with Advising Wednesdays, they aren't just a once a month time to engage your faculty in their offices, because faculty maintain office hours weekly. But the other thing that they build into the Advising Wednesday schedule is a time for the class deans, which is also a relatively new structure here at Earlham, to engage students as a larger group. So we have a first year class dean who will have specific time to be able to engage first year students about what they should be thinking about to get ready for the next semester. We have a second year class dean, we have a third and fourth year class dean, and so we also use those times to get larger cohorts of students together to talk about the common experiences they're having and what they should anticipate as they take the next step in their college career.
Thank you very, very much. And we are actually at the end of our web chat. I'd like to thank all of you in the audienceship for all of your wonderful, wonderful questions. And please, before you leave, before you exit this webinar, we will have a short survey that you can fill out. You know, we're trying to make these as absolute best to serve you as possible. So all of your input is absolutely valued and valuable. This is just a friendly reminder that from March 9th through 12th, we will actually have academic departments represented here through web chats. So we'll have students and professors from the social sciences, natural sciences, arts, and humanities here. So look forward to be looking for those emails, but be sure to mark your calendars now. We'd love to have you back. I'd like to again thank our panelists. You guys were absolutely awesome. And of course, if you have any additional questions about Earlham, you can always email us at admissions@earlham.edu or call us at 1-800-EARLHAM. I hope you enjoy the rest of your night, and I'd like to thank you again for joining us.
Thanks for being here.